The GOAT has finally arrived with the new Unholy Alliance update, adding multiple new Fleeces, cards, relics, and many others. And I'll be helping you navigate through the update and showing you how to get everything. And check the description for timestamps to find specific info you need. Starting off with how to set up co-op mode. If you're playing using any sort of controller, all you need to do is plug in a secondary controller. Then go to your settings and press add co-op, select which character has which controller, then they'll be summoned to play with you. If you want to do it on PC, you need to both have a Steam account and add each other as friends. Only one person needs Cult of the Lamb purchase, and that person needs to press shift and tab in-game, and then click remote play together. Send the invite to your friend, they need to accept it, and they'll load into the game. Now you can press add co-op and set controls to each player, and they should join. But if you're both on keyboard and mouse, it won't work since only one PC will control both characters. The easier workaround is having one controller and another on keyboard, but if you don't have a controller, then you need to get a controller emulator. Before you do, just know this only works on Windows 10 and under. Okay, now click on this video in the description, go to their description, and press this link. Click on the keyboard splitter, press the free download, and click the mirror link. Once the download is complete, extract it, click on the keyboardsplitter.exe file, click yes to all driver downloads, and then it should restart your computer. After the restart, click the keyboardsplitter.exe again, and it should open up. If not, go back to step 1 and click this link instead. Download and extract it, and click the keyboardsplitter.exe file. If neither work, it's probably just because it doesn't support your device, and you'll probably just need to get a controller. But if it does work, it'll bring up this panel. The PC you have connected will be controller 1. Set up your keybinds through here, and depending on which version you have, you should have both mouse and keyboard blocker checked. Then press start and redo the co-op computer setup process where you load in as a controller, choose whichever belongs to who, and it should work. Now to the new fleece and skin. The cowboy fleece, which will be unlocked after the first time you find a blunderbuss on a crusade, most likely in Silk Cradle, can be unlocked for 10 sin. Fleece will make it where the only primary weapon you could find is the blunderbuss, and any variant of it. The silken fleece can be obtained by purchasing the Pilgrim Pack for $7. This fleece is cosmetic only and provides no bonuses. Now the goat skin. You can unlock it in two different ways. You'd either open your world up to co-op mode, and you should unlock it in your temple after they leave, or you'll have to beat the one who waits, then go on a crusade and die, where you'll be resurrected and meet the goat statue. Interact with it, and you should get the goat skin when you come back. The goat skin will cost 5 sin and provides no fleece bonuses. And for the best, they've added the new transmog system. What this means is you could add any fleece bonus to a fleece you like wearing. Press the customize fleece button to pull up the transmog system on a fleece you want the bonus of. Then just select which fleece or skin you'd like to wear with it. They've also added 23 new cards you could add to your deck. 5 of them can be unlocked by playing in co-op mode. You unlock the Comrades, where you'll gain double damage while fighting close together. The Rivals, which will double your damage when fighting far apart. Bonds of Battle will connect a beam between the two players that deals damage on touch. The Synchronous will deal critical hits when both players attack at the same time. And finally, Flint and Steel, which when dodging through each other, it has a 20% chance of causing an explosion. There are 9 corrupted cards, which can be unlocked by dying and interacting with the goat statue, where you unlock Reckoning, which will give a red heart, but every time you're hit, you'll spawn a bomb on your player that can hurt you. Mortal Oath will make heavy attacks cost 0 fervor, but you'll now move 25% slower. Blighted Core will damage enemies when you're hit, but you'll now take double damage. The Loathed will give you 2 disease hearts, but will make all relics fragile. The Hoarder will heal you when you pick up a relic, but hurt you when you use one. Renegade Victorious will give you 3 times curse and weapon damage, but all positive effects from corrupted cards and relics will no longer work. Poison Taster will double your coins, but you'll now take double damage from poison. Sullied Oil will make relics deal double damage, but they'll now never be charged when you pick them up. Ichor Drain will constantly spawn black ichor underneath you, but causes you to attack 25% slower. And finally, Order of Purity, which removes all negative effects from corrupted cards and relics. You'll gain the last 9 from trading with the Mystery God. You could trade to get the Reaching Tree, which allows you to skip to any part when on a crusade path. Spirit Salvager, where you could recycle any weapon and curse for half a blue heart. Blind Wrath will strike random enemies with lightning when you're hit. The Vanquisher has a 10% chance of striking an enemy with lightning when you kill an enemy. Usurper Blessed will heal you to full when you enter a boss room. Temptation's Fate has a 10% chance of an enemy dropping sin as loot. Favorable Winds will allow you to move 2 spaces in the crusade paths. And finally, the Labyrinth allows you once per row to shuffle a room to another random one. While crusading, you should find 25 new relics. 3 will be added to the default relic pool with the Beads of Anchorite, where you can damage all enemies based on the amount of followers in your cult. Onyx Mirror will destroy all your tarot cards to upgrade your weapon and curse level, increasing a level per card. And Balm of the Anchorite will give you half a red heart for every 5 followers you have. Each has a respective damned and blessed version, adding up to 6. The blessed ones are the blessed beads of the Anchorite, which will damage all enemies scaled on the amount of elderly followers you have. Blessed Onyx Mirror destroys all your cards, but gives you half a blue heart per card destroyed. destroyed, and the Blessed Balm of the Anchorite, which gives you half a red heart per elderly follower. The damned ones are the damned beads of the Anchorite, which will damage all enemies scaled on the amount of dissenting followers you have. Damned Clonic Smear destroys all your cards, giving you half a diseased heart per a card destroyed, and Damned Balm of the Anchorite will give you half a red heart per dissented follower. 5 relics will be unlocked when playing in co-op mode. The Crossed Eye of the Crow, which is an eye that travels in circles from both players, dealing damage to enemies on contact. Ashes of the Mercurial Mun makes a ring of explosions around both players. Glass Hands will heal both players by half a heart. Hudai's Lost Tooth swaps the weapon and curse of both players with each other. And last, the Wishbone of the Marbe will damage the player holding it and give the other one 10 seconds of invincibility. There are 8 corrupted relics that can be gained from dying and interacting with the goat statue. You'll get the Pouch of the Kephamite, which trades 50 coins for half a blue heart. Scales of the Anchorite, which sacrifices a random follower to heal you to full health. Liliaka's Doll will damage you to damage all enemies on the screen. Ewer of the Widow will give you half a diseased heart, but will spawn poison all around you. Laplas's Coin has a 50% chance of either spawning an undead follower to help you or an enemy. Bones the Fowler drains all your fervor for some random resources. Knuckle of the T'Chak gives you a 5-second damage buff, but will make you move very slow. And finally, Fang of the Starved, where you'll deal double damage, but take double damage for 5 seconds. You could purchase 2 from the Mystery God, getting the Grandmancer's Bomb, which surrounds the player in black ichor, and the Nectar of the Crowns, which will give you unlimited fervor for 5 seconds. And last but not least, you could gain 4 upgrades for existing relics and 1 new one. You could upgrade the Eye of Leshy to the Cleanse Eye of Leshy, which will make it now deal double damage. Hecate's Throat to Cleanse Hecate's Throat, which will increase the damage buff from 10 seconds to 13. Kalamar's Ear becomes Cleansed Kalamar's Ear, which will now spawn an extra undead follower, aka 2 of them. Shamura's Skull can be changed to Cleansed Shamura's Skull, which will give you 10 seconds of invincibility instead of 8. And finally, you can obtain Narinder's Claw, which will kill all enemies on screen, except for if they're a boss. Each can be unlocked by doing a quest with its respective bishop, which will be touched upon later. All bishop followers now have a second part to their quest. After collecting their relic, they'll prompt you to go back into their temple. You want to turn them into a demon, each now having a new look, and head back into the area they asked you to. At the end of the crusade, you want to walk into the open temple door, and each bishop will now have a unique interaction, gaining lore, relic upgrades, and a new look. Leshy will gain a grass bandage over his eyes. Hecate will remove her bandage to show her double chin. Kalamar will change his ear bandages to kelp ones. And finally, Shamura will replace their head bandage for a web bandage. After completing all their quests, Narinder will ask you for a walk, where he'll give you some more lore and the new Narinder's Claw relic. Each bishop will add a buff to their own respective relic, which all relic effects were touched upon earlier. In your cult, you should find 2 new structures. The nursery can be built with 12 planks, 16 grass, and 8 cotton. This is used to house 3 baby followers at a time. This is helpful since you'll be able to nurture them all at the same time and keep them in the same area. But beware, they will continue to poo, which will build up and have to be cleaned. Then, once they become 17 days old, they'll leave the nursery and wander around, refusing to go back until they grow up to a real follower. The second building is a Knucklebones table, which can be unlocked by beating all the Knucklebones opponents in Lonely Shack, and will cost you 4 planks, 4 stone blocks, and 64 coins. You could use it to gamble against followers or co-op players. The difficulty will be based on the level of your follower. If you beat them, they will gain loyalty to add to their level, and if you lose, nothing happens. There are also 9 existing decorations that you could get from trading with the Mystery God. You could get the Flag of the Crown, Bag of Mushrooms, Potted Bush, Stone Flag, Stone Statue, Wooden Guardian, Gi, O, and Gi. They've now added a plethora of new traits for your followers to have. A poet won't work and will instead write poems, and sometimes when you interact with them, they'll read their poems to you. Edible followers can now be pet to gain little loyalty. Spies will randomly appear in your cult, and if you don't get rid of them in 5 in-game days, they'll leave with 10% of your coins. You can tell they're a spy from their eyes. Follower that's a night owl will work at night and sleep during the day. Snorers snore loudly during rest, angering nearby followers, making them sleep elsewhere. A polyamorous follower won't get jealous if you marry more than 1 follower, and unlawful followers can break themselves or others out of prisons. There are some more unique traits that can only be gained from specific buildings or rituals. When you use the Ritual of Resurrection, you may find they gain the Curse trait. Cursed followers will have black and purple eyes roaming around, doing no task, but be careful since they'll randomly eat your followers. You may also find the Catatonic trait, which will make a follower do no task and have little interaction with their surroundings. Luckily, both traits can be removed in the Healing Bay. Some traits your spouses can gain from the Wedding Ritual would be the Jealous Spouse, which will get into fights with other spouses, and the Lethally Jealous Spouse, which does the same as a jealous spouse, but will have an additional 25% chance of killing them during a fight. Then there's the Happily Married trait, which will make them work 20% faster, and the Unhappily Married, which works 20% slower. If a follower successfully uses the mating tent and becomes a parent, they may gain the Proud Parent trait, which allows them to hug their child and they'll interact more positively with other followers. Or they'll become an overwhelmed parent, which will give the appearance of the exhausted status, and they'll act more negative to other followers. Followers sent on a mission from the missionary may get the inspired by mission trait, making them interact with other followers more positively. Excited by mission trait, which increases their chances in the mating tent, or will get the disturbed by mission trait, where they'll act similar to the catatonic trait, not interacting with anything, but could also be healed in the medbay to remove the trait. And for these last traits, I assume you gain them from releasing a re-educated dissenting follower from a prison, since I wasn't actually able to get these in a legit way. But there's a reformed criminal trait, making them work 10% faster, scared criminal trait, which will make them run from the lamb, or the hardened criminal, which will taunt and attack the player. Both the negative traits can be removed from reassuring a follower 3 times in a row. They've now added a new force weapon setting, which can be found at the bottom of the accessibility tab. Turning this on allows you to force a selected weapon to only spawn on crusades. This means you'll only find that type of weapon, but can get its many different variants. The Pilgrim Pack is their newest DLC, which can be purchased for $7 on Steam or $9 on the Switch, PlayStation, or Xbox store. In this pack, you'll gain the Fleece of the Silken Touch, which provides no bonuses, 5 new skins, the Panda, Skunk, Echidna, Anteater, and the Camel, 5 new buildings, the Bamboo Wall, Bonsai Tree, Hanging Lantern, Small Pagoda, and finally the Vase of Peonies, 2 new outfits, Jalala's coat and Reiner's robes, and the Pilgrim comic, which you can access on the right side of your main menu. It shows the adventure of Jalala to find her brother, Yarlin. In addition to the comic, there will be a unique quest that you could get. After achieving the Sins of Flesh content, should get a quest to indoctrinate a follower named Yarlin. Add him to your cult, and soon he'll give you a quest to find his sister in Silk Cradle. You'll find her in a follower room with an exclamation mark above it, where you'll fight to save 2 followers. Add them both to your cult, and then you'll need to have beaten the one who waits, read the Pilgrim comic, and treated Jalala's wounds, and then after that, she should give you a quest to look for her bag in Darkwood. Go into Darkwood, and you should randomly find it in a room, collect it, and then give it back to her, where she'll give you access to her journal, which can be read in the same place as the Pilgrim comic. And here are some small changes I noticed while playing. Baby followers now need constant nurturing. If you don't nurture a baby follower for a day, they'll then feel neglected. A baby follower that's neglected too much will instantly descent once 18 and leave your cult, stealing some gold on the way. To avoid this, they need to have been nurtured in equal or more times than being neglected, and they should grow up to be normal. Followers that have the jerk trait can now have it removed. Just like a follower that's a coward, you could reassure them 3 times in a row, and they should lose their negative trait. The mating tent has a unique interaction with the goat and lamb, where both can enter, but will be disgusted after whatever happens, and after done, they'll refuse to go back in to repeat it. And finally, they add multiple new rooms you could find while crusading. These can be found throughout all 4 different areas, making crusades a little more unique. Holy, I almost forgot again. They've now added some new Twitch